I think a lot of us, unless we are feeling like we're literally about to die, don't want to face some of our health challenges or issues. And I didn't know that I had a problem. I actually found out about it at just an at home care visit, an at home health check.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
Hello, and what is up, my friends? Welcome to episode 92 of Jokes and the Gym with Rudy Tyburczy. It's your boy, Rudy Tyburczy, coming at you for the 92nd straight week on the last day of September is when this is being dropped. And that's a special day because September, as I am sure you know, is AFib Awareness Month. Atrial fibrillation, or AFib for short. Atrial fibrillation is a heart condition that causes an irregular heartbeat, which I have. So I wanted to take today to share with you a bit about my experience, maybe give you some more information about the condition itself, give you some ideas about what you could look out for, and kind of just, continue to raise the AFib awareness, as that is the name of the game this month. So to give you a little bit of info about me, my name is Rudy Tyburczy. I'm a comedian and a personal trainer. I've been working out for many years. I've lived across the globe, and exercise and going to the gym has always kind of been my safe place. It's been my place to go when things were tough, when things were great, when things were whatever. It was something that I always was able to do, and really took comfort in the fact that that was something that I had available to me. I've always had what I considered a pretty healthy relationship to my body. I've listened to it over the years, but I found out in the past year that I don't think I was listening to it quite enough. I discovered that I had AFib, or at least that something was up. Earlier this year, I had an at-home nurse call provided by my healthcare. It was just something they offered, and when she came over, she kind of explained that she was there to just be a resource, and so I could ask questions I might not ask my doctor, my PCP, my primary care provider. My PC, is it PCP also a drug? It always makes me laugh when people say PCP. And so she was like, the nurse who came over, she was semi-retired, very, very kind, very helpful, very thoughtful, was like, you can ask me questions you might forget to ask your doctor. And she helped me with a few other things that I'd been trying to get to the bottom of, that helped give me some more information to move me in the right direction. So then towards the end of her visit, she got out the stethoscope, listened to my heart, and I'm one of those people who's like already nervous when someone's listening to your heart in a stethoscope. And so she's listening in there, already a little nervous, and she pulls back and goes, "Huh," which is not a good sign. And she goes, "Did you know you have an irregular heartbeat?" And I didn't. I did not know that. And so the next time I went to my PCP, my doctor, who I'd already been seeing quite a bit to try to get to the bottom of several other things, I barely remembered to tell him. It was at the end of the appointment. We'd already gone through a bunch of stuff. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I had an at-home nurse appointment. And she said that I had an irregular heartbeat." And he listened, and he came up and he's like, "Huh, you do?" Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, let's get a little EKG going on." And so the nurse came in, and she hooked up the nodes to my chest and got the readings, and sure enough, I was in AFib. And he's like, "Oh, that's not what I was expecting to find out today." And it's not the end of the world. That doesn't mean my heart doesn't work. I wasn't falling apart. I was just out of rhythm. The heart wasn't in rhythm. And so it kind of forced me to get some more information, some more support. Not long after, I had to wear a heart rate monitor for like a whole weekend. And sure enough, came back, I'm in AFib. It wasn't, and it was consistent. It wasn't like in and out. It wasn't here and there. It was in it. And so that was kind of interesting and unexpected and disheartening, I guess. um, but it kind of made me change what I thought was normal, like I'd feel my heart moving, coming and going in and out, or like a little bit during workouts, and thought that's just normal. That's adrenaline. Same thing before comedy sets. Like I'd feel my heart beating. I'd feel that in my chest, just thinking like, oh, that's part of the adrenaline. That's part of the whole experience. Doing comedy, working out, you feel your heart in your chest. But I remember a friend of mine walked by at the Y, Tony, and during a workout, and I'm like sweating up a storm because that's what happened when I would work out. Every workout, I would just get after it and just be totally drenched by the end. And so if I wasn't totally drenched, I was like, okay, that wasn't a full workout. But Tony, one time, he says to me as he walked past, I'm like, I don't know if I looked particularly worse than normal or whatever, but he said, dude, you look like you just left a war zone. So I'm like, if all of my workouts are leading to that, that's not good. I used to think it was like a positive, it was just grit or toughness that like I could continue to do things when things were really tough. You know what I mean? Like I used to love this like idea of grind culture and like just go go go, do as much as you can. You got to just keep doing it, bro. No, I grew up in no fear. Pain is weakness leaving the body and crap like that. People I'd follow online or like trainers online would say things like, like the mind will quit long before the body will. And so I was just like, yeah, okay, I got to keep going. And that I think was just not doing the things that I thought it was. If every time you work out, you feel like you've just been beaten to crap, beaten to a bloody pulp, that's maybe not where you want to be with your workouts. And so because I was in AFib, not just, it was like I was in it. The first thing I scheduled before I got, so let me back up a bit. I also found out I had a brain tumor shortly after I found out I had AFib, because at the gym one day during one of these sessions, my heart rate got super high, and then I paused and calmed down and tried to relax. But then at the workout, later in that workout, I had done 3 or 4 sets of incline bench press, barbell bench press, and then afterwards I stood up and had a seizure. And the next thing I remember, I was in a stretcher going into an ambulance to go to the hospital, where I found out I had a brain tumor. I'll do the full brain tumor stuff more in the future as well. But that's another story. But the AFib was there. And so that was like my body saying, like, just stop, dude. No, stop it. Quit it. Knock it off. And so when I found out I had a tumor, the first neurosurgeon I saw was like, well, let's get you out of AFib first. He was a little too lax about it. Let's get you out of AFib, and then we'll do the brain surgery and go from there. And so to get out of it, one of the first things they try to do is a cardioversion, which is where they shock your heart into a normal, like electrically shock your heart. It's like pushing Control Alt Delete on your body. And my body was like, okay, let's give it a go. And then I go in there that day, and this was before the brain surgery, and they're like, okay, count down from 100. I didn't even get to 98, and then I wake up, and the doctor looks at me, very brisk, gruff, and he's like, we tried a bunch of times and it didn't work, and he like walked out of the room. But thank God the nurse was there, and she was so kind, and she's like, they tried really hard and it just didn't take. Apparently I was shocked 5 times during this cardioversion. anywhere from 200 to 360 volts, and it just didn't work. It didn't take. And still in AFib, and that was pretty disheartening, I guess you could say. So frustrating that it didn't work, and especially because I'm like young. Everyone keeps telling me how young I am. I'm like, I'm in my 40s. I'm like, am I young? How young is that? I'm a middle-aged man. I'm in the middle of age. How freaking young is that? And so body was like, nice try, dude. You're in AFib. That's what's going on. Fast forward through the brain surgery. It went well. Tumor's out of there. Really stoked about that. Just had a good follow-up with my neurosurgeon about 6 weeks post-surgery. Gave me a lot of good news for that. So I'm positive I'm on the right track there. But now the AFib is still in there. And I saw my cardiologist a couple weeks back. She was helpful, but she was like, you should see an electrophysiologist. So a cardiac electrophysiologist is like the electrician of the heart. They're the ones who can do the next step up from a cardioversion, which is the catheter ablation, which is, I've got that scheduled for a couple weeks from now. I'm excited for that. But the cardiologist, one of the things I like about cardiology and heart stuff is that you can do a lot for your heart to make it better. Eating, exercising, keeping your weight in check, not smoking, not using excessive alcohol, this kind of stuff. And I tell you what, I used to drink in Korea. I lived in Korea for 7 to 8 years, and there's such a huge drinking culture there. And it was just a part of my life. And so when I was in Korea, I drank way too much. And I think part of that is because of the tumor that I didn't know was in my body at the time, which increased my tolerance. And so having an abundance of money, time, traveling, friends, seeing people from all over the world, all this kind of stuff just made drinking such a regular part of my life. So, alcohol is a big trigger for AFib. I partied hard in those decades, the 20s and 30s, the me decades. And since then, I haven't. In the last couple years, I've really toned it down. This year, I think I had 1 or 2 beers in the months before I knew I had AFib, and ever since I found out I had AFib, I was just like, it's not worth it for me anymore. I know what happens when you drink. You get slurry and dumb and blah. So it's like, I was happy to be at a place where I could have 1 or 2 drinks on special occasions, and now I'm past even that. But that's kind of because I always thought if I got doctor's orders to like make a proper change to my life, I would. And sure enough, that's what's going on. So, yeah, I'm excited for the ablation to see what happens. There's less than 50% chance it'll get me out of irregular rhythm and have me in normal sinus rhythm or heartbeat afterwards. So I'm hopeful, but I'm also realistic to know that it might not be a long-term solution. It might just be something I have to live with. But the doctor was like, because you're so young, thanks, doc. Everyone keeps telling me I'm young. Great, cool. Doesn't always feel that way. Because you're so young, still worth giving the ablation a go. And also, I've also heard from multiple people that they've gotten a number of ablations. So it might be something that I need another one in the future. Who knows? But I'm excited to kind of see what happens afterwards, because this AFib thing is a challenge. And to give you a little more information about what AFib is, the heart is the beats are controlled in part by electrical impulses in the body that makes it beat normally. And with AFib, these electrical pulses are offbeat. They're not firing at the same time. So my upper chambers aren't firing like they should be. So they're either too fast or quivering or not contracting properly. So blood isn't pumped as it should be. This is also something that's not totally new to me. I had a procedure in my 20s when I lived in Korea in 2008 for varicose veins, which is still something I wear compression stockings. I try to, you know, get the blood pumping through my calves. So it's like I've had stuff going on for a while. I remember in Korea, there was even a doctor who gave me a handout like of my body. I'd seen him a few times, and he gave me like some printout, and he said my heart was, I had the heart of like a 78-year-old man, and I was in my 30s, and I was like, he didn't tell me anything else. He didn't say that I had a condition or there was something I could do or something I should watch out for. I just kind of blew it aside because it was just I didn't get a ton of information about it. So there's cells in your heart called the sinus nodes, and they make electrical signals that cause the heart to contract and pump blood. And so mine just aren't really working the way they should be. So that's life. That's what it is sometimes. So hi Milk, thank you. Hi Guy, how you doing? So in AFib, the blood isn't pumped normally, isn't pumped properly, and it can form blood clots. So you might go on blood thinners, you might go on other things. I'm on a blood thinner and a beta blocker now. Before your procedures, like cardioversion, for me, both the cardioversion and the ablation, I have to be on blood thinners for 30 days. Super important that you stay on it for 30 days. So to reduce the risk of clots. Yeah. And so that's a little bit more about atrial fibrillation, what it is, how the heart works, that kind of stuff. Also, this is just research I've done, talked with doctors, I've looked online, I'm reading, stuff from the American Heart Association, all that kind of stuff. If you have an issue, you feel something weird with your heart, talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. What are you? That's not my thing. What are you doing if you're trying to get medical advice from me anyways? That's dumb. Don't do that. I hope that's not what you're doing. But I just do think it is important for people to have a better idea of something that afflicts millions of Americans. Estimates are by 2030, there'll be 12 million of us in the United States with AFib. So you probably know somebody. Your grandpa might have it, your uncle. It gets more and more common as we get older. So you probably know somebody in your family or teachers or somebody who has AFib. Yeah, but what does it look like? How do you know? What are some symptoms? If you're looking for what does it look like? Well, one of the things is like a fast or irregular heartbeat. If you can like feel your heart beating in your chest a little more than you think is appropriate, like that's a symptom. So if you feel like heart palpitations, like you feel it in there, that's a time when you might want to talk with your doctor about it. Okay, so like those are some actual physical signs that you should be aware of. If you often feel lightheaded or faint, that's something that I still deal with. A lot of times when I stand up, I'll get this like head rush or whatever. And I used to kind of like laugh it off and be like, ooh, free buzz, like I get it. It's like, I'm not even smoking weed or anything. And I stand up and I'm like, ooh, but that's also something that you don't want to totally dismiss or just, enjoy the ride. But if it's happening regularly, it might not be something, it might be a sign of AFib or something that you should talk with someone about. If you're feeling chest pain or pressure, that's an issue. There's a big connection between AFib and sleep apnea. So you might feel shortness of breath, or especially when you're lying down. And one of the big ones for me as well is just being fatigue, general fatigue, and tiring more easily. And that makes sense to me. If your blood is not pumping to the rest of your body, you're going to be tired, right? That's how we get through the day, just the heartbeat, pumping blood, moving around. So, yeah, those are things that you can look for. Some of the big problems that AFib can lead to, one of the biggest one, you have a 5 times greater risk of stroke. So it's like, ew, we don't want that. Heart attacks, heart failure, sudden cardiac arrest, those kinds of things are possible with AFib, but AFib itself is not going to just kill you, okay? It's a mixture of factors that do the most damage. Another There's this other guy I watch on YouTube, Dr. Scott Lee. I forget the name of his channel, like the Awareness, AFib Awareness, or AFib Education Center. Yes, AFib Education Center on YouTube. I really like this guy, Scott Lee. Check out his AFib Education Center. A lot of really good videos on AFib. So check it out if you want to hear from an actual electrophysiologist. And he's helped me prepare for my appointments, for questions that I should ask, things I should look out for. So check him out if you want to hear from a doctor and not just some blowhard comedian, because that's me, is a blowhard comedian. So just do something, get help from professionals if you can. I'm super lucky that this stemmed from healthcare, that I was able to get through the state. And so, yeah, get professional help if you can. If you think you need help, then seek it out. If you know somebody who has AFib, be kind, be patient with them. Here's what I think. I think the biggest thing that we can do to help each other is to slow down, to not think that we always have to be doing something, and to not judge others when they don't have the same amount of energy as you or as other people. I've been super sensitive about being tired for decades, for a long time. I remember friends giving me a hard time about like energy or sleepiness or stuff like that, and just being pissed off because of it. And that sucked, both in my comedy circles and in my other circles. People have noticed and talked about it, and I've even shared with people about it. So if someone says like, hey, I'm tired, I need a break, I need to take it easy, or if you feel that way, like, allow that to be. How would you talk with a friend if they were like, man, I just feel so burnt out, I feel run down, at the end of the day, I don't have enough energy to do a bunch more? And as a comedian, that was really tough for me, because I love comedy, but when does comedy happen? At the end of a day. I spend my whole day working, going to the gym, doing other stuff. So when 8 or 9 o'clock comes around, you're supposed to be funny or make everyone laugh. What happens then? Like, you don't always have it. And so I've just been a lot kinder to myself regarding that now. And I'm going to be a lot more intentional with the energy that I use. So I'm still excited about comedy. I got a packed month. I got a big month of shows coming out this month. I've got, on the 4th, I'm at Double Entendre at Fathoms. First time I've worked with Lexi here in Eugene, Lexi's Comedy Club. I'm excited about that. On the 12th, I'm playing at one of my favorite venues, favorite places in Eugene, the Eugene Art House, formerly known as the Bijou Art Cinema Theater. But now they're doing some other stuff, and it's like this friend of mine, Mike, is putting together this Halloween horror comedy variety show. So I'm excited about that, and really excited to perform there. And it was a dream. That's like one of my dream spaces for comedy. When it was up for sale, I wanted to turn it into a comedy club, but I don't have $500,000. Surprise. And then that's the 12th. And then the 14th, I have my ablation scheduled. Boom. Excited. See me at Riverbend on the 14th. And so post-ablation, doc said a week before you can get back to like physical activity. So that's kind of when I'm planning on getting back in the saddle as far as like work and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how that goes, how I feel, what energy levels are like, how my body works, what the heart's doing, how much my A is fibbing. And then 25th, I'm on, again, one of my favorite shows in town, Bleepin' Funny. In October, it's Boopin' over at Sam Bond's, Saturday at 5 p.m., last Saturday of the month, 5 p.m. Always love being on that show. And then on the 31st at Lucky's, Halloween. We're Halloweening with it's the comedy what is it? The comedy switch up show. We're doing the comedy cover show where two comedians will switch places. So me and Max Brockman are doing it this year. Last year, Jamie Colson and I did it. It was a blast. This year, Max and I are going to do it. And so I will dress up and perform as Max, and he will dress up and perform as me. So I'm really excited to do that. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a fun kind of idea to just kind of like, let loose and be somebody else. He always wears like a Rams jersey, so I'll dress as like Kurt Warner / Max and stuff. So I'm really excited to do that. And he's a very funny guy. He's got an album out there. What is it? I forget what the name of it was. Stranger, allowably strange, or as strange as normally. I forget what it's called. But check out Max Brockman. He's a good dude, very funny. And so yeah, I got a busy month. It's been a while since I've been this busy. Who knew that all it took to get booked again was to get a tumor removed? That's it. Easy peasy. Just getting those shows, baby. Book me. You can still book me. Put me on a show, dog. Or ask me to be on a show. And I've also reached out to folks to be on shows and stuff like that. That's a big part of it in comedy, is like, you gotta hustle and grind. And my body has said, dude, fucking chill. Knock that off. You don't have to do it all the time. So that is the huge change, the huge shift, is just to take it easy on myself, take it easy on my body, take it easy on my mind, and hopefully that'll pay off. I'm also working. So with workouts, I'm just trying to figure out how to allow my central nervous system to reset, to heal, to relax, not always feel like I have to go, do. Polyvagal, look up polyvagal exercises in theory, and how to kind of connect your nervous system with your mind and that kind of stuff. And because I don't have this interloper, this hanger-on, Tommy the fricked up tumor, hopefully I'll be able to kind of like get out of that fight or flight or freeze mode a little bit more readily. I'm excited to see what the future holds and what this rest of this year and recovery and regrowth and regeneration and rewiring my brain has in store, because I'm excited to do the things I'm doing. I got a bunch of stuff that I'm still doing, but I feel like I haven't had a fair shot at accomplishing it because of all of these challenges in my life that I didn't know about until this year. So AFib, still dealing with AFib. Cardiologist doc said it's a pesky one. So if you have it, or if you have signs or symptoms of it, then try to, lead a heart healthy life. Drink a little less, smoke a little less, lose a little weight, do a little exercise, that kind of stuff. All those things can be a huge factor in helping your heart. So yeah, I'm excited to see where the future takes me. I'm excited to see where it takes you. I'm excited to get back in the comedy interviews as well. I got one scheduled for this week, my first one in a while, that I'll be getting out in the next couple months. Mike Kaplan, friend of the show, reached out again. And so I'm really excited that he and I are going to get the chance to chat and about his new comedy special that he and his partner co-created together, that'll be coming out sometime in November. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. It's titled Rini. And keep your eyes and ears peeled for yourself. Listen to your body. How's it feeling? What's it telling you? Be kind to it. Give it the things it is asking for. I thought for so long that I knew what mine was asking for, and I thought it just wanted to go and grind and keep doing things. But I guess I was a little off. I tell my clients, you listen to your body and I listen to you. And I probably should have taken that medicine for myself a little while ago. I hope you are listening to yourself daily. I hope you get sleep. I hope you give somebody a hug, pet a cat, do something you like, chuckle, listen to some jokes, tell some jokes, share something with somebody that means something to you. And don't wait until they have a freaking heart attack, you know? Reach out to somebody, give them a high five, give them a hug, and go from there. So, thank you for hanging out with me today and this week, staying on this journey. I'm excited to move forward, and I'll see you next time, dogs. Jokes in
the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. That said, I have the heart of like a 78-year-old man.